Hello and welcome to the Valley. Today, I am your host, Janet Michael. We are on the Zooms today with Amanda Johnson. Amanda is the Food, Nutrition, and Health Extension Agent. She is based in Frederick County, though she does serve all 5 of our surrounding areas. You may remember Amanda because she did the show with me back in, I believe it was November, and we had a really good show talking about food safety around the holidays and how long to cook your turkey and when you should have it thawed and all of the do's and don'ts about leaving things on the dining room table for maybe a little longer than you should. So I asked Amanda if she would come back and do a similar type of show conversation with me about summer food safety because Amanda, I feel like we all leave the potato salad sitting too long on the picnic table during our summer cookouts.
Yes, and summer is like a great time for picnics, cookouts, family reunions, church potlucks. We're doing all of these things where we're bringing food from all different locations, usually outside where we have warmer temperatures. And those warmer temperatures really can affect the safety of food, especially that potato salad that always gets a bad rap. So the good news is there are food safety preventive measures we could take. You could just break them down into 4 categories, making sure clean, separate, cook, and chill. And then I could go through each one of those, talking about how to make sure that our prep areas are clean. You don't know what people's kitchens look like. So it always makes you a little nervous. But if you want to be the person to make sure no one gets sick from your food, make sure your kitchen's clean, sanitized, your area is clean, washing your hands, making sure that when it comes to our fruits and vegetables that you're washing those. You don't need to put soap on them. Just nice, warm, clean water running, rinsing out those little crevices, making sure your lettuce and all those are clean. Your cantaloupe, watermelon, you need to wash those off the outsides because if you cut into them, and you have bacteria that's on the outer shell of those or outer skin, that gets pushed right down into the part that you're eating. So it's important that you're washing the watermelon, the cantaloupe, those type of things before you cut them. And then once you cut them, they need to go in the refrigerator because then they become time temperature issues.
I'm thinking back to just a week or 2 ago when we bought a watermelon, and I'm pretty sure my husband doesn't wash the outside of the watermelon before he cuts it all up and puts it in the refrigerator. I wouldn't have thought about that because it's on the outside and I'm not eating the outside. But when we're talking about bacteria, I know we're going to talk about Cyclospora and parasites in a second, but those are microscopic things that would be very easy to get on the blade of a knife and then travel inside of that watermelon as you're slicing it. So that's
Yeah.
really good
And
advice.
yeah, and then you've got all that moisture, especially in a watermelon. A lot of it's liquid. Bacteria loves moisture to grow. You're giving it a perfect little environment to grow. It's going to also help your food break down faster, so your watermelon's not going to stay as fresh as long. So yeah, it's important just to wash that. Plus, think about all the people that might pick up that watermelon in the store to see if they want to buy that one. They're like, no, and put it back. You don't know what's on people's hands. So yeah.
Huh. Thank you. I may never eat watermelon again.
And watermelon's delicious. You definitely eat your fruits and vegetables. Just make sure it's clean before you eat it is the main thing.
And I will say, I think COVID taught a lot of us to be more cognizant of cleaning things before we eat them in particular. And I know from a COVID perspective, that really ended up not being the driver of what spread COVID to begin with. But I think it got a lot of us in a habit. So I do that with most everything. I love grapes. And so I have this whole process for eating grapes when I bring them home and I pull them off all the stems and I put them in a bowl and I do the water thing and then I wash my hands first and then smush my hands around to make sure that I'm getting to every grape and then I throw them in a bowl with a couple of paper towels just to people are listening thinking, wow, she's that's a bit much. But cleaning our food before we eat it, particular things that have grown outside is a really smart thing to do.
Yeah, because we don't know what is in the water that's being put on those produce or on the fruits and vegetables. We don't know if any of that's contaminated. And that's where right now they're looking at the parasite, Cyclospora. That is a parasite that is transported through fecal matter. So human waste, so if it's in the water and it gets on the fruits or vegetables, then it can transfer to us. So washing is important, but washing it is not going to remove that parasite. The main thing is to help prevent the spread is washing your hands really good after you use the restroom. You should scrub your hands 20 seconds with soap outside the water. Most people, you put soap on, you wet your hands, then you get soap and you scrub. You don't scrub with your hands in the water because then the soap goes down the drain. Not going to do anything for you. So scrub outside the water 20 seconds. You can sing happy birthday twice, or you could sing ABCs in your head. That will get you the 20 seconds, and then rinse them off and then dry your hands. That's going to help it not to spread. I know there's a lot of concern right now, but still eat your fruits and vegetables. There's less than 100 people in the state of Virginia that has this illness right now. It's something that we should be cautious and paying attention to the news and learning any recalls, or when they finally find what the cause is, they're thinking maybe possibly leafy greens and stuff right now. But when they narrow it down, making sure that we're aware of that and we take precautions.
That is treatable. So if you end up with the effects of being, I don't want to say poisoned, but it kind of is that way, you can go to the doctor and there are medications and things that they can do to treat it.
They treat it with the antibiotics. The symptoms of it is diarrhea, and it can last for a couple weeks or a month. It can actually go away and come back. If you're having some of those symptoms, get to the doctor, get some antibiotics, making sure you're staying hydrated. All of that's important. So again, don't say, well, I'm not eating fruits or vegetables right now because of it. Just be a little extra cautious and use your best judgment.
I joked with you before we started recording when you said leafy greens is one of the things they think maybe might be where it's narrowed down to. I said, oh, good. I don't have to worry about that because I don't eat leafy greens. So I'm not eating them. I just don't eat them anyway. Salads are not my thing.
You could get your nutrients from other areas, maybe broccoli. It's a
Oh,
green.
well, maybe. Yeah. So I am 100% sure that Amanda from Clem's Kitchen is listening to this podcast and she is laughing hysterically because she knows me well enough to know that I don't do vegetables hardly at all. There's only two or three vegetables that I will eat. I am all in on anything with caffeine, anything with chocolate. I do like my grapes, I like my fruit. So I'll do some of that stuff, but I'm not a carrots or salads, any of that kind of person. So that means I've got a little bit better chance of staying healthy through this
Yeah,
outbreak.
you may not have to worry about it as much as someone else, but yeah. The other thing is when we are talking about cleaning our food to make sure it's safe, we got to think about the raw products. We think about cookout, burgers, chicken, those type of things. We have to make sure that those are separate from our fruits and vegetables. We don't want to contaminate. When you put stuff on the grill, you want to make sure that you use a different utensil than whenever you touched it with the raw. Having clean utensils out at the grill, flipping your burger, those type of things. And then get a clean plate when you're done to put that on. Don't put it back on the same plate that had the raw hamburger on it. It's just common sense a little bit, but just making sure that you're prepping those in different areas, or if it is in the same area, you are cleaning and sanitizing in between so you're not contaminating. If you're packing for a picnic, you want to take the raw meat, if you're going to grill somewhere else, and put it in a cooler, wrap it up with saran wrap, put it in a Ziploc bag, put it down at the bottom, and then you could put ice pack or something on top. And then you can lay your other items that need to stay cool above that so that you're not having any drainage come down. When you're thinking about ice, you want to have a separate cooler or a Ziploc bag that has ice in it for drinks, that you're not using the ice that the pop cans and the bottle of water is sitting down in to put in your cup. It's just some of those little things that you can do that go really far when it comes to food safety.
This may not be a shock to you, given my whole leafy green story, but I am weird about that too. I will not go to a cooler, open it up, and reach my hand in to get ice to put in a cup. I want that to be in a separate place and I want there to be a scoop because, like you said earlier, you don't know who else has reached their hands in there and where their hands have been and all of that sort of stuff. And those cans and whatnot, they come from some grungy places.
Yeah, yeah, and especially if you have little kids running around. I go into schools and do hand washing lessons, and I see how well they wash. Some are really good, some not so good. And my son is one of those that I would not use the ice that he reaches into. It's just one of those things. But yeah, just making sure that you're using common sense with a lot of this stuff.
Let's take a break. When we come back, can we cover the other three things? You mentioned that there were four. Can we talk about the other three in the next segment?
So we actually talked about two already. We talked about clean and separate. And then now we'll talk about cook and chill.
Perfect. We're going to do all that when we come back. We are on the Zooms today with Amanda Johnson. She is the Food, Nutrition, and Health Extension Agent. She is based in Frederick County, though she does serve all 5 of our surrounding areas. We're going to come back and talk more summer food safety in just a couple of minutes.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a united way, improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to healthcare and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Welcome back to the Valley. Today, I am your host, Janet Michael. We are on the Zooms today with Amanda Johnson. Amanda is the Food, Nutrition, and Health Extension Agent based in Frederick County, though she serves all 5 of our surrounding areas. We're talking today about summer food safety. In the first segment, we learned about clean and separate, 2 very important pillars of getting through a summer without getting sick. And I want to talk about that for a second, Amanda, because I'm sure that every person listening today has had some variation of what we assume is food poisoning. It may have come from going to a cookout somewhere, and then you come home and you're not feeling so great. And I think we undervalue what could have prevented that. And I know sometimes we don't have a lot of control. Like when you're going to a cookout, I'm also the person that only eats what I bring.
Yeah, I'm one at family reunions. I know what my aunt and cousins make, and that's what I get. I've ate at their houses before, and I'm like, okay, point out what you brought. Yeah, I'm funny like that too. So, yeah, foodborne illnesses can happen so easily, and so many of them are so preventable. People that's at most risk of really having severe reactions to foodborne illness is your elderly, children under 5, pregnant women, people with autoimmune disorders. Those individuals are at high risk. It's just a matter of thinking about what we can do to reduce the risk. Like I said back in November, we're never going to prevent all foodborne illnesses. It's about reducing risk and making it less likely.
Cleaning is important. Keeping things separate is important. But I would guess maybe the biggest faux pas happen during that cook and chill portion, that sometimes that's where we fall down a little bit on food safety.
Yeah, a lot of foodborne illnesses are because of time, temperature control violations. It's making sure that you're cooking the food to the proper temperature. When you are grilling and you're doing things like hamburgers or steaks out on the grill, you need to have a food thermometer. A lot of people are like, oh, I've been grilling forever. I can tell by looking at it. No, the nice little grill marks and the nice little crisp edges doesn't mean that it's reached that internal temperature that it needs to be considered safe. So using a food thermometer, and if you do have a hamburger, you're going to stick it in the thermometer in from the side, not directly down in, because the temperature tip is a little bit bigger. So you need to go in from the side. Whenever you're looking at chicken, any poultry that you're doing, that needs to be up to 165 to be safe. Your ground meat, hamburgers, ground lamb, any of that, it needs to be at 160. And then your regular steaks and roast, you could do that at 145. But it's really important that you're keeping hot foods hot, and that is 140 and above, so that you're preventing those bacteria from being able to grow. The temperature danger zone is 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 140. The numbers are a little bit different for serve safe, but the general rule 40 to 140 is that danger zone where your bacteria will multiply rapidly. So you want to keep your food out of that. So if you're looking at your hot foods, keep them above 140 whenever they're out if possible. Or if you do have it out, you don't have it out more than 2 hours. When you're talking about cold stuff, you want to keep your cold items 40 degrees or lower. And if you have those sitting out at a picnic or something, those also could be there for 2 hours. But once it's 90 degrees outside, that 2 hour drops to an hour. So you don't have much time before that bacteria can start to grow. So there are things you can do to keep the stuff cold a little bit longer or hot a little longer. You can use crock pots where you have it plugged in to keep it hot. You should not use crock pots to reheat, but you can use crock pots to keep it hot. You can also use ice in a bowl and then put like your potato salad down in there. That'll give you a little bit extra time. But once you've met those time limits, you need to discard. You're not going to be able to tell by taste or smell, and you can end up sick.
You make a good point when you talk about paying attention to what the temperature and the weather is outside, because I've always also been a stickler when we go to things like that. The sun is out. It may not even necessarily feel like a hot day. It might be in the low 80s, mid 80s, but if you have food that's sitting on an open picnic table with the sun beating down on top of it, that raises the temperature a little bit more. So it's not that big of a deal to have that bowl of ice and then move it to the shade. That's at least something that you can do instead of leaving it sit out there in the hot sun.
Yeah, and they actually recommend that your coolers be kept in the shade also. And that if you have a cooler with your food products and then a drink cooler, you want those two separate because you got to think whenever people are opening that up to get drinks, they're constantly letting cold air out and warm air in. So if you have food in a cooler, you don't want that opening a lot because you want to keep it cold. So having those two coolers help with food safety. But yeah, you've got to think about the sun, the temperature, keeping things covered also, bugs outside. There's multiple things to think about, but planning ahead and thinking about it before you go will help a lot with that.
And there are so many gadgets and cool things that you can buy off of Amazon for a little bit of nothing, from covers to cooling pots to all of these different things that make it so much easier. And it's a small price to pay to not be sick later, or heaven forbid, know that you made your sister or your nephew sick because you didn't properly prepare or maintain something.
Yeah, no one enjoys having stomach problems. And so it's just one of those things that we can reduce the risk, still enjoy the delicious food of summer, and be able to enjoy the company of family and friends, but still keeping everyone safe.
So you mentioned a second ago about not reheating anything in a crock pot, and I get that. That make because it's a slow. It's you can reheat in a crock pot if you're planning on leaving it in the crock pot for another 4 to 6 hours just to
Yeah.
reheat it again. But I want to ask you about something that my husband and I argue about all the time, and I think we might have talked about this back in November too. So it never hurts for him to hear it a second time, which is reheating things, because I make my standard taking to a cookout dish is baked macaroni and cheese. So you've got the milk and you've got cheese and you've got all of the things. And so I make it, I take it, and then we bring it back home, whatever's left over. My argument to him was no, when we put it back in the oven to heat it up, it has to then come back up to that temperature. And his argument is no, it doesn't. It's already cooked. So it doesn't really matter. But that's not the case.
No, so the bacteria still grows in the refrigerator. It's just at a slower pace. But you also have to think about transporting. So you take your macaroni and cheese to a family reunion. You're there an hour, 2 hours. After 2 hours, you really should be throwing away. But let's say you put it in the cooler and you bring it back, then you put in the refrigerator. It had to be in that danger zone some from cooling off, setting out while people are getting some back into the cooler. It's going to cool down some, but not maybe fast enough. So, yes, you have bacteria growing. So, yeah, you have to get it back up to a minimum of 135 before eating again. And that's just because bacteria does continue to grow, just at a slower rate.
And I think that's the big differentiation is we're not talking about eating something that is undercooked and getting sick. We're talking about bacteria that can grow on something that's fully cooked that hasn't been kept at its proper temperature, which I keep trying to explain to him. And he's like, no, it's already cooked. It's fine. And you don't have to reheat. I'm like, yes, yes, you do.
Yeah, it's just about using the knowledge that we have and making the best decisions. Reheating that is going to reduce the risk. It doesn't mean if he doesn't reheat it, he's going to end up sick automatically, but he's at a higher risk of getting sick. You can also do smaller portion sizes. So, like if you do have your potato salad and you have it in your cooler, you could use a smaller bowl and put it out. And then when that's empty, you go back to the cooler and you get more and put that out so that those items that are more likely to spoil faster are still being kept cool.
That's a genius idea. Most of us just throw it all in one bowl, set it out on the table, and hope for the best. But that's a really good idea to have the bigger bowl that you're serving from into a smaller bowl, because then you have the potential to A, keep it safe, and B, not have whatever's left over have to be thrown away.
Yeah, especially with food insecurity being something that's very relevant in this area and a crucial thing that we're all trying to figure out how to help. Throwing away food is a hard thing to do when you know that there's people out there that needs food. I'm not saying you could get your barbecue to someone that needs food, but it's just the thought of wasting food.
Amanda, thank you for taking the time to give me all of this information. I'm sure that there are light bulbs going off all across the valley as people are listening to this show thinking, oh, I've done that. Oh, I do that now. And oh my gosh, that's a genius idea. I'm going to start doing that. So I appreciate all of your insight and advice.
Well, thank you. And I hope people don't stop eating their fruits and vegetables because it's important to your diet, and just use common sense, I think, is the main key when it comes to food safety.
Good advice. I will be back tomorrow with a brand new episode of The Valley Today, just a few minutes after noon. So meet me here then.